All right. Well, welcome everybody to our discussion tonight. On the line with me, myself, Trent Meisenheimer. I'm a forecaster here in the Salt Lake City office. We also got Brett Kobernik. Hopefully it's recording him in the lower left-hand corner. He's down in the Manti Skyline. Drew Hardesty, partner in crime here in Salt Lake City. And we've got Toby Weed in the lower right corner who forecasts up in Logan. So yeah, welcome everyone. Tonight we wanted to start exploring a little bit of history, and how we got here was actually I called Cowboy or Brett aka Brett Kobernik on Saturday and just started saying, hey Brett, when was the last time you remember a dry spell kind of as epic as the one we're going through right now? I mean, and just to fill anybody in, since January 8th, I think we've only had maybe 6 to 8 inches of snow, and that snow's come in dribs and drabs. So an inch here, a couple inches there throughout the month, or throughout the month and a half now that we're at currently. So Brett did a little research and he dug into kind of turned us on to the year 2007. And I'm going to quickly share my screen here. And what we're going to look at first is a hydrograph here. This is at Snowbird. And what you can see is the pink line is our median average water for this Snowbird site here at 9,100 feet, or just shy of 9,200 feet. The blue line here is our current to date line. And you can see we rose up there into about late December, early January, and literally we've just flatlined. And in some cases, it kind of looks like we're starting to lose snow, which is a little bit freaky. And then this green line is the line from 2007. So a couple of things here. They're definitely different winters, but the bottom, like what we're really honing in here is kind of this period of right after the new year to just about February. So a 35 day stretch where we see flat line and snow and followed by cold and clear nights. So with that, Brett, talk to us a little bit about 2007 and some similarities.
Well, I guess, you know, the reason we're discussing this to begin with is just that we continue to speculate about the near surface faceting that's occurred over the last month and how that's going to shake out in the long run. And I think the viewers should be aware that we are speculating about what's going to happen in the future, and we really don't know. It'll all depend on weather trends, and I think we'll get into that in just a little bit. So it's not like we're seeing the sky is falling here, but it's kind of interesting to look back at similar periods. And that 2007 period following the long dry spell was interesting because we went through a really significant period of human triggered avalanches once the snow kicked back in after that dry spell. There were some similarities to what we're seeing this year. Near surface facets, widespread across lots of terrain. And that year, of course, the snow kicked back in and created, the perfect slab to start the avalanche cycle. So again, we'll see if that happens this year. We need the snow before anything, gets dangerous. But there are some similarities. And you asked me on Saturday, you're like, well, do you remember any periods like this? And there have been periods since then that we've seen, long duration of high pressure and near surface faceting. But that one really stuck in my mind because of the string of human triggered avalanches following that dry period. And I believe there was 4 fatalities during that period as well. And I just remember going into the office every morning and seeing all the avalanche reports that were coming in. And it was just day after day after day. And each forecaster would come in and do this shift. And it was just like, wow, how many more human triggered avalanches were there yesterday? And how many more are we going to see today? And I think, Hardesty, you recall that period when we were forecasting, and it was just like, holy cow, people. Oh, and the other thing is that the other thing that I just thought of was, during those periods of high pressure, people get so powder starved that once it snows, you forget about avalanche danger. We've been in such a long period of low danger that all of a sudden you've got powder snow and you forget that things can be dangerous. And people just were so hungry for the fresh powder that they couldn't control themselves. You remember that, Hardesty?
Yeah, it was pretty insane. It was I think we were using feeding frenzy like day after day to describe how things were going, over that course of like third week of February when it really kicked in. I think that 10th, I think through the 16th, I think is just kind of going through some notes, and it just really came in.
I can't remember. Do you recall that it was kind of a long period of human triggered avalanches? I don't recall how long that went on.
Before we get too far down the line, though, I want Drew, could you kind of explain the setup a little bit to us? Just take us back real quick to, basically the creation of Facet magazine. How is the creation of Facet magazine? How is this born?
We, as we like to say, we laugh so we don't have to cry. And it was among the driest early winters. And Bruce Tripper had a remark that it was that we had one of the thinnest, weakest early season snowpacks that he had seen as well. And so we're just sort of waiting for a slab to come on. But in the meantime, it was all about skiing and riding square powder, as we call it, just all bottomless faceted grains. And here, Cowboy putting together Facet magazine here, and here's it's awesome. Mink off in the front.
Yep.
And aiding him behind him is Bill Nally.
All right.
They're probably up in like the Meadow Chutes or something, but
Mount Nebo. Obscure, untouched facets.
It doesn't even look like they have backpacks on.
Post powder depression, no slab, no worries. Let's get loose. I mean, Facet sloughs up in the upper left there, right? Facet sloughs are a thing, and they continue to be a thing.
A lot of similarities to this year, though.
Yeah.
We've been out riding squares, like you say, sugary, loose snow on the surface.
I'm just running through. Anyone can find this on the web in our archives, but you could look at our weather charts from the season, and dry, and then here's February just kicking in. And you can see those two fatalities on the 17th, another one on the 18th. As Toby mentioned, the two snowmobile fatalities, one down in Richfield, one in the Western UNS. The next day, Hell's Canyon, out of bounds at Snow Basin, I think 17-year-old kid, no gear. And then on the 21st, Cal, do you remember we went in to do the accident investigation, Gobbler's Knob? It was a Norwegian guy that had left his party at Baker Pass between Gobblers and Raymond and went up and over
into Butler, right? Heading
south. Yeah, off the top of Gobblers there.
That's right.
And died in a solo, while he was skiing solo. So Norwegian guy, it's aptly named Swedish Alley, if you see it on the maps now. And here's one of the Cowboys forecasts from before Valentine's Day. We've been crying for months. Once we get a load, look out. Well, we got a load, so look out.
Nice.
Very prescient. I mean, that's the name of the game. And I got one more photo to show, but I think I'll bring it up towards the end of the wrap up here. Toby, take it from here.
Okay, can you guys see this now?
You can, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. So I'll just go through real quickly what I saw. We came down from a ski tour on the 2nd of March, and it had there's lots of natural avalanches that were apparent across the valley and the Wellsvilles, some really huge. But what was really more important were these large naturals in Providence Canyon that we've never seen the like of since about then. So this came down about 3,000 vertical feet, and it's called the Big Cheese Slide Path, and it came down to Providence Canyon, and it hit this road that's really commonly used this time of year by lots of folks. It's not open, but it's used by snowmobilers and dog walkers and folks. A large and very impressive avalanche. As you can see, it is a deep slab, and this probably actually slid on the snow that was near the snow surface at the beginning of February.
Yeah,
as you might expect. But this was it was quite broad, a couple thousand feet wide. And it also extended off the other side into another avalanche path that we call the First Waterfall Hollow. That avalanche also came all the way down to the canyon floor. But in any case, it was quite impressive. Thankfully, you can see here it peeled out into pretty low angle terrain.
That's impressive. Yeah, Toby. That's cool.
And it actually went down to the left as well into another, went down into two.
Like both sides of the ridge peeled away.
Yeah.
Now, Toby, I was looking at some of those bed surfaces. It looks like some of them are pretty close to the ground. Is that, am I seeing that right?
Yeah, and yes. And I think that's pretty much the snow that was there in 2007 on the at the beginning of February. There just wasn't very much.
Yeah, so that's a distinct difference, between what we're
Yes.
dealing with
Yeah.
now and that year.
And
So things
yeah.
are different.
Yes, true. And I'm not sure. You can see here in this picture where the old, how it pulled out into old snow as well. So it was this is probably that late February snow, and then this is maybe a little earlier in the year, earlier in February or I guess January snow.
So Drew, I've got a question for you. We've been out stomping. Could you just recap a little bit of where you might expect, well, A, to find weak layers in the mountains right now to the best of your ability, and then also B, my follow-up question is, I've seen weak snow on low angle ridge lines much like this. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? I think this photo is very interesting that the slab can pull up into this type of terrain, and it's probably because of that long dry spell into February where the ridges got, either surface hoar or near surface facets growing.
Yeah, I think, currently poking around, we've had lots of obs coming in as well. And what I'm seeing is sort of northwest through, in some cases, east. Everything else seems to be sort of warm, corrugated, kind of melt freeze. Not to say there's not facets beneath them, but I did see facets above a crust on east today. So the classic northwest through east. There's even weak snow down low at the lowest elevations. It's just a matter of, are we going to have a slab? We're going to have a loading event to activate that.
Real quick, I just wanted to show this. This is an ensemble or meadogram from the Salt Lake City National Airport, and basically what you're looking at is 30 different forecasts. Okay, and it can be complicated, but the easiest thing to do is kind of read it from the left-hand side of your screen to the right. And basically what I'm seeing is three unique differences here. One is the storm that's on our doorstep. Now everybody's wondering, hey, is it going to snow? We'll get there in a second. But what I'm seeing is basically from now until about the 20th, we're seeing some light shading. And remember, this is for the airport here in Salt Lake City. So it has, water numbers are much less at the airport. So we're talking maybe a half, a 0.2, 0.25 inches of water from now until the 20th, okay? But then what I'm looking at is the 21st and moving onward. To me, what I'm seeing is the model here is getting wetter and wetter, and each of those members are agreeing. So if you kind of look vertically, you can see those are all the different members. And if you look from left to right, that's as time goes on. So yes, this is a good sign that we're seeing water. It is a model that is quite far out in the future, so I wouldn't necessarily put all my money on this thing, but it's interesting. So what I look for here is, okay, we're going to get a little bit of snow here in the next couple of days, but nothing to really write home about. And then something on the 21st and 22nd. When I look at the weather belt and I look at a weather model here, I'm just going to thumb forward to the 21st, and you can see this trough that kind of digs down off the coast here. And this one looks much better for the time being. Again, this is a week out, so let's not get too excited just yet. But what's nice to see is finally we have a trough. This high pressure off the coast of California has kind of regressed out into the Pacific, and that's what we want to see. That thing has been parked off the coast of California for almost 40 something days now, probably. So, and then moving forward, I'm still not in love with this pattern, but that's okay.
You and me both, Trent.
Yeah, right. It's not perfect because, as you can see in this frame, the storms are splitting. Some of the energy is heading off up into Canada, and the other is kind of splitting off to us. So, but the good news is like I said, if you go back to here, it is advertising wetter. And if we move forward to our most famous, infamous plumes here in the Wasatch Range, you can see this next couple of days, it's nothing too exciting, but that 21st, 22nd is something to keep an eye on. And I'm going to move forward one more time to Jim Steenberg's new product here. I really hope this model is right and that we end up at about 7.5 inches. I personally don't think that's going to happen, but that's okay.
No way.
Fair enough, cowboy. But again, let's look a week out. We see a big jump here and a steep climb. And if you kind of scroll down through the raw data, you can see we're advertised a week out to be at 21 inches of snow. So what does all this mean? Well, the next couple of days, hopefully we get a slight refresh. I don't think it'll change the avalanche danger all that much. They're calling for 2 to 6 inches of snow in the next couple of days. But in the meantime, let's say that we do stack up that slab. What's some advice that you would give? I mean, we've gone through 40 days of low danger. I think a lot of us are used to being in steep 35, 40 degree terrain right now. We stack up 18 to 24 inches on our snowpack. What's some advice that we can look at moving forward here?
I think we want to treat it like an early season all over again. Just kind of like it's December. And we're seeing that weak snow all over the place. It's very widespread. It's not limited just to north-facing upper elevation terrain. I'm finding it in north-facing lower elevation terrain, and also in off aspect slopes, east, west.
East facing for sure.
Facing for sure. So it's really widespread at all elevations. And you have to treat it kind of like the early season. You have to be really careful.
Yeah, Toby, I'm really psyched you said that, because actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to the original graph real quick. And this actually surprised me, is look where we intersect our median line. Winter's not over here.
Yeah.
For me, I know I've been I'm going to pull out the mountain bike and go trail running here.
Trent, I think there's about 50 days left before we hit the point where it starts dropping down.
Correct. And you're exactly right there, Toby. I mean, this median continues to climb into April.
Yeah. And
here's my take. my issue is that, you know, some slopes are very obvious that they have a widespread contiguous layer of faceted snow, and other slopes are harboring more crusts and firmer snow. So, you know, right now anything that's good skiing or good riding, snowmobiling, snow biking, those slopes are the ones that are suspect to avalanche if we get a load.
Right.
But so let's just say we do get some snow and that stuff gets all covered up, which it will eventually. My issue is it's going to be very difficult to decide which slopes are harboring that weak layer of snow that'll produce a nice fracture line, you know, a nice wide avalanche, and those slopes that are not going to do anything. You won't know once we bury this current snow surface.
You know,
That's going to be the tricky thing in my book. It's gonna
Right,
be
but how are
pretty
you
tricky.
going to operate then, Cal? That's what I want to know.
Well,
So
you gotta assume it's dangerous. I
Bingo.
agree. It's gonna be pretty spatially variable up high,
Yep.
but you just have to go into it and assume it's dangerous.
That's all you can
And-
do.
And I don't think you can extrapolate from one slope to the next, particularly up high with all the wind crusts and so
No
forth.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess the mindset for us is if it snows quite a bit, we'll be stepping back and proceeding into the mountains with caution.
Low angle, no overhead hazard.
That's right.
Low angle, no
south.
over. Say
yeah,
again,
yeah, it would be.
South, yeah.
watch out. Okay,
Hey,
Remember,
last
remember
picture.
last February.
last picture. Let's do last picture here.
This is,
Oh, wow.
you guys probably saw this. This is off Gobblers, and it ran big, deep wet slab cycle in March. It ran all the way down into the gully and sort of
That was
underneath.
2007 again, right, Hardesty?
Yep.
Yeah.
Same year. Yep.
Not to say that we're primed for this, but you know, if you have significant depth or layer, sometimes that thing comes back to life with significant melting in the spring. So this is pretty amazing cycle that we had on Gobblers.
I do think we're probably out of time here. Thank you all for heading back, you know, Facet magazine. Brett, some of those quotes, I might just pull out one I loved. I went through the website and you were like, how many more days of avalanches do we need to have before I spell it out? And you're like, I'm just going to spell it out. AVALANCHE. It was brilliant. So I guess the bottom line is not a lot's changing just yet, but if we get some snow, I think it's time to change our mindset and yeah, stay tuned. Hopefully we get a little more snow for water reasons.
We will get more snow, and we're going to get a lot. It may not be for a little while, but I guarantee you that.
The Toby Weed forecast, he guarantees lots of snow.
In March, it's going to be a lot.
Stay in town and stay tuned. Thank you all so very
Thanks for
much.
heading this up. Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. See ya.